I just want to quickly go to the next slide, honey, because it shows the CEOs of all the different companies. Sidney Gillibrand, AMEC, BAE, his daughter-in-law Kirsten Gillibrand is the senator. Peter Sutherland, he's currently he's the present chairman of Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs purchased Nalco. He was the chairman of BP. He was the founding director of the World Trade Organization. Go down a little. He started the European Trilateral Commission, which we should all investigate because they basically control the politics of the world. And there's the chemical company that BP owns, Innovine, which is huge. And then go to the next slide.
So these folks also created Codex Alimentarius.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, and Rockefeller is huge in that also. Carl Casale, he's the president of Monsanto, a VP, but he's also on the Nalco board of directors. And Richard Oliver, BAE chairman presently, and he was the deputy chairman of BP up until 2006 while he was at BAE also, so he's very busy too. And the next one is Peter Mason. He's currently a director at BAE, and he was the CEO of AMEC, I think, until 2006, and he's currently president of Acergy, which is a company that goes along the bottom of the ocean to search for oil. So, and then last one, Rodney Chase, he's on the Nalco board of directors currently, and he's currently on BP board of directors, and Nalco, once again, is core exit for the Gulf, which they're spraying.
I would
Thank you.
Plan to talk on weather warfare, and what we've been talking about so far is Plan B for the planet, and that's what the scientists are calling that we have to do these experiments and go forward with the geoengineering, because the climate change might get so bad that we have to implement it very hurriedly. And so that is what we've been talking about up to this point. And now I want to talk just a little bit, because I do want to let you ask questions. And I'm Pauline Cantwell. I've led a peace caucus at the UN since '94 and have been bringing the military issues to the table at all the different women's conferences and everything. And particularly working on the military aspect of climate change and the deliberate manipulation of climate and weather. So I gave a speech at the UN in 2007. There was a climate change conference, and I was able to bring Rosalind Peterson in as a keynote speaker. She talked about the clouds created by the jet contrails and delivered, a very good message there. And then we did a breakout session called the Wild Cards of Climate Change, and that was a panel with the environmental minister from Turkey, speaking on the treaties concerning, like NMOD, the convention banning the hostile manipulation of weather and climate went into effect in 1978 because Russia had developed the ability to trigger earthquakes and volcanoes remotely with the use of electromagnetic waves at that time, and they came over and advised us what they had done, and the US and the Soviet Union pushed through this convention that went into force, and we ratified it. We don't ratify too many conventions at the United Nations, but we ratified that 98-0. So one of my favorite authors is Michael Chossudovsky. He's a professor of economics from the University of Ottawa, and he's written a paper called Washington's New World Order Weapons Have the Ability to Trigger Climate Change. And he talks specifically about HAARP, and that is this. How many of you know what HAARP is, or where? Okay, so a lot of you don't know. It is in Alaska. It's located in Gakona, which is right by Denali Park, and it was originally in Pennsylvania. I get University of Pennsylvania and Penn State mixed up, but it was one of the universities in Pennsylvania. But it beams up electromagnetic energy, bounces it off the ionosphere, and then it can be positioned any place on Earth. But it was upsetting air traffic. The pilots complained, and so it was moved up to Alaska. And so it sits there and it's 30 acres of dipoles. Yes,
What does it stand for?
HARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. And under NMOD, they banned the hostile manipulation of weather, but you could do anything if it's deemed to be a research program. And so you find that the manipulation of weather and climate didn't stop when NMOD went into effect in 1978. It just went black, it just went underground. And now everything's deemed to be research. And actually, HARP is part of the Star Wars program. The funding came from the Star Wars program. And it has a lot of military capability because it has over-the-horizon radar. It can knock out power. In fact, some people believe when our power was knocked out here on the East Coast a few summers ago, that it was HARP. It was a test, because our government has to test, what would happen, if you lost power. It happened about 4 minutes after the stock market closed on a Friday, so it didn't affect the markets. And it was not the Texas grid or the California grid that would have caused more problems, but